Hello and welcome to the New York Empire Podcast. We've been off for a little bit of time, a few weeks, but we have missed you. I'm Dan Hilton, and Matt Pippin-Letta, we gave him the week off. So instead, I'm flying solo with Empire O-liner in Alex Atkins. So, Alex, well, you had a few weeks off. We're going to quickly chat about, I know it's been a week now if you're watching and listening to this, a week since the Empire's 28-17 win over the Phoenix. The team had almost a full 3 weeks to ruminate on that glory loss. So I'll ask you, leading up even to that Philly game, what were what were the practices like for 3 weeks after the Boston loss, and kind of feeling like, all right, we still got some stuff to prove here. We still got some things to work on.
So we actually had one practice off. So I guess we had a practice right after the loss, the Wednesday right after the loss, week off. Then the Phoenix game was on a Wednesday. So we only had the one practice and we just had a couple weeks off until,
Right.
I mean, honestly, it was fine. I think since we had the practice and we right after the game and we knew we were taking a couple weeks off, it wasn't like, oh, we need to come back to practice and like fix everything that we feel like went wrong in the game. It was just more of like, all right, like this was a good test for us, and it's healthy to, face that kind of adversity in the course of the season. And then I think the focus, at least for me, was just like, we play a lot of ultimate, so let's make sure get the body right, get the body feeling good, because as much as you want to win every game, we know that the postseason is what's going to matter the most.
Well, actually, I do want to talk a little bit about the body stuff, because watching that Philly game, I even had like league that night was canceled due to the heat, because like there was like so many people were like, I'm not coming out here, whatever. So how has training been working in the most recent heat wave? Like, it might not be as relevant, obviously, this week or whatever. And then you're heading out on the road. We'll talk about that later. But is there something that you see all your teammates do differently when it's hot? Is there a different approach to that game? I mean, I know that both teams also had those heat timeouts, but like, is it just a different way to manage that? Because that turf there in Philadelphia,
it honestly really was not bad though, because the sun went down and
that's true.
It was lovely, actually, if I'm being honest. The day was super hot, but
yeah,
and we just didn't warm up really much outside, because warming up, it's kind of pointless when it's 100 degrees out. You don't really need to warm up. You're warm. Like, we did some stuff inside. They actually have a nice facility there at Newman. So we did some warm-ups inside, and then we went out and did a little warm-ups. I mean, you just focus on staying cool, like staying in the shade, whatever. But it really wasn't that bad. And actually, the hydration, the hydration timeouts were so frustrating. Like, I don't get I guess I need to see the logic behind it, because in my mind, I'm like, we're just prolonging being out in the heat and also taking breaks. Like, it doesn't seem helpful. Like, I don't think it's helpful. I don't know who came up with, because like in the first quarter we had 3 in the at least first quarter, maybe the second quarter as well, and then I think they dropped it down once it cooled off.
Yeah,
but we had 3 hydration breaks during the quarter. I mean, now we're just standing around, like, you're trying to like stay kind of warmed up, and you're also now, like, if it was a situation where it was really hot out, you're just making us stay in the heat more. Like, how is it helpful? I don't know.
Well, I'll take it a step further. At this, at the FIFA World Cup going on right now, they have hydration breaks going on for every game, including the ones including the ones in stadiums. So like with roofs, right? So like the funniest thing, I mean, that's why you just call them ad breaks. So I think, to what purpose, I would say for all the teams around the UFA, it's just, can we, if we're going to do heat breaks, can we just inject as many ads and pick up as much? But that's just like the my side of things. But anyway,
crazy.
Yeah. So that's a good point about especially the night games and things really cooling off. And you're right, that's affecting you a little bit less than it is affecting me trying to like plan practices at Saturday mornings and things like that, and try and see people, including myself. Like I've said it. This is probably my craziest hot take, is that I would much rather play in like rain and snow than I would rather play in like humidity, like hot humidity. I'm just not. I'm not about that. That's just again personal preference thing. Like
Yeah,
my ancestors are from the Alps, so like
yeah.
I just melt, and it's just not my thing. But anyway, that's just like preference, whatever. So while the temperature outside was hot, the game itself was pretty clean for the Empire. Like again, it looked like the weather didn't affect anything. It didn't look sluggish. It looked just fine to me. Offensively, 10 of 12 on hucks, 15 of 19 on holes, 79%, 13 breaks, 18 of 18 on red zone conversions, just 7 turnovers. So those are the numbers. I know they kind of bore you. They bore me too. But how do you think the offense after, I mean,
The
unequivocally
first
having
quarter.
the worst offensive game by far against the Glory,
Oh.
how did the offense get everything clicking again? And especially without Jack too.
Well, it's just so different. Like
Yeah,
if we're being so for real,
I know,
the
I know.
pressure the pressure you're facing against Boston, and listen, I love my Philly boys, but it's a whole different ball game. So, uh, how like how you get it clicking is you just complete passes, and it's just different. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we did come out a little rusty, I think. I turned one over. LeBar turned one over on the first point. We had 5 turnovers as a team in the first quarter, which means we only had 2, though, after that. So that was good. But I think, I don't know. I mean, at that point, yeah, it really is just like, hey, there's not as much pressure. So just make sure we're completing passes and like doing what we need to do to like not take risky shots. So I think that's kind of what we got into.
Well, there's 3 games left. Again, we'll talk about them at the end. But do you think the Day Murray incorporating him? Do you think there's still room to grow with that, or do you think you're already kind of seeing the best version of what he looks like with the Empire?
No, there's definitely still room to grow. And with Saul coming back,
Yeah,
Jack going to be healthy. I mean, it's one of the interesting things about the UFA is because there's always like a lot of moving parts, at least on the teams that I've been on offense. Like just because it's game to game, you never know. Like part of the UFA to me is like figuring out your line each week because you kind of you want the consistency, but in the game we play right now, it's difficult to get that consistency week to week. So with Jack and Saul coming back, I think there's a lot of opportunity to become very, very good with all the talent that we have.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's like regardless of like Don's individual brilliance, you still have to always consistently add in new pieces, and not even new pieces, but pieces
Yeah,
but like in
yeah,
different spots. Yeah, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
and it's all about the team. Like when you get to a certain level of like trying to win a championship, the individual brilliance gets you so far, and then you have to start doing the things as a team
Yeah,
to
because
to to
you need
shine.
everybody to win a championship. You need everybody.
100%.
Speaking of everybody, part of the new everybody is a new face has appeared against Philadelphia. College champ with UMass this season, Nima Lamo, a goal, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. A +5 in his Empire debut, pretty good. 15 D points. So, what do you think he did to get himself in the 20? Because, like we talk about, there's like 40. Well, I don't know how many, 42 players or whatever in the orbit. So,
Mm-hmm.
to make that 20 is awful hard. So, to show up and make that 20,
Mm-hmm.
what did we do to impress you?
Well, winning defensive player of the year in college helps.
Yeah.
That's gonna bolster your resume for any team you're trying out for. Uh, and then I think like a lot of these kids now, especially like I mean, he goes to UMass, so they have a good program. He is obviously very athletic, and then he's also smart and polished. Like even the kid just knows how to play frisbee. Like he's good at offense, he's good at defense. And he's young and he's still hungry. So it, we have an embarrassment of guys that could just fill in those D line spots and are very good at different things. But I think one of the things that stands out about him is, I mean, he's a great defender, but he's also very well rounded. Just like I don't know what I would say is like the weakest part of his game. He's just a very well-rounded ultimate player.
Yeah, and he joined Ethan Lehman, who also made his not Empire
Mm-hmm.
debut, but season debut
Mm-hmm.
here against Philly. Now for Philly, speaking of your Philly boys, Ezra Biedler, Shank, and Owen Erdman put up some
Yup.
numbers.
Yeah,
So
they
what do you
did.
like about those two Philly youngsters?
I like a lot about those two. Those guys are just so good. I mean, they're like 19, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think they're 20 yet. They are like this new gen of just like ridiculous Frisbee players who are just so talented. Like both of them are incredible throwers, and I think still slightly like developing into their bodies as like full on like athletes. So I think they're amazing throwers. They're great break throwers. They have deep shots. They have all the throws. Like all these kids, they have all the throws, especially if they've been playing a lot and have had like big roles on teams. So they have all the throws, and then they're just like getting more and more athletic each year, and then also understanding the game more and more each year. So they're very good.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool with Philadelphia, like having followed them for so long, having lived in Pennsylvania in the past for myself, and just watching the youth program kind of come up. Last year with Adam and Sam Grossberg, and I mean, like, I know he hasn't played Philly for a long time, but Gavin Abramson, also with UMass, by the way. Like, Philadelphia.
And Max, who wasn't playing, but Max Tran.
And Max Tran, yeah. So it is interesting to me that when we talk about like the hotbeds of Ultimate, you talk about like Amherst and Boston, you talk about Paideia in Georgia, you talk about the Bay Area, you talk about, I mean, even Colorado, but that's more like the college scene than anything else. But anyway, like Philadelphia, I mean, I don't need to tell you, like, I think it's one of those underrated like talent developers in our country, and I'm interested someday. 100%. We'll do this someday about like ranking the different areas of the country in terms of like talent development. But yeah, I think Philly's a little underrated there.
No, 100%. We've been pumping out good players for a long time. It's mostly that like there are no, like you mentioned Colorado, but like in terms of pumping out players, Philly's pumping out way more players than Colorado from the youth scene. The youth scene, but the places that have big universities like UMass, Colorado, whatever. Right. People go there and then they live there. Like Philly just lacks, like Penn State is kind of up and coming, but it's still not even in Philly. And it's honestly, it's similar to New York. Like there's no like New York college that's like really good at Frisbee. And that's why there's no people that are like, you know, there and then they stay there. Like all the good kids from Philly go to play Frisbee at like, I mean, a lot go to like Pitt, or they used to go to Pitt, but then they go wherever, but then they just leave. Like there's a lot on the West Coast. So.
Well, even the Empire Zone, Artie Aquan, he played at Brooklyn Tech, and I remember playing him when he was 17 years old, 16 years, whatever. Then he goes to UMass, right? And he becomes captain there and all that stuff.
Hey, Empire fans. ShopEmpireUltimate.com is your home for all the latest Empire gear. From hats to hoodies to discs and coaching. ShopEmpireUltimate.com is the best place to get yourself ready for the next Empire game.
Hola Empire aficionados, ShopEmpireUltimate.com es tu casa para todo lo nuevo de Empire, desde cachuchas a sudaderas a frisbees y entrenadores. ShopEmpireUltimate.com es el lugar para que te alistes para el siguiente juego de Empire.
Second half of the show now. On the docket this week is a big weekend on the road against Chicago Union, Dave Murray's old team, and the Toronto Rush on Friday. How do you think road trips in general tend to bring a team together? Like this, it feels like this is the big one of the season. I know you guys already did you already went up to Boston and Montreal, but this one feels like we're getting on planes where it's
we have a day in between.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
Well, you just spend a lot of time together because it's interesting too. Like we beat DC and Boston on the road, and we lost to both of them at home, which is interesting. And I think there's a lot of factors that go into that, but it is nice. Like when we travel, we have a very strict regiment, you know, like we're on the bus at this time and we eat at this time and we're all hanging out for the whole day. You know what I mean? Like we're all there. Like who knows what these guys are doing at a home game, you know, during the day. They're pulling up at 5 p.m. and who knows what they were doing all day, man, in their normal day-to-day lives. So I think like that's kind of the plus and the fun of a road trip. You know, you have a chess tournament on the bus or like hang out in the hotel and do whatever, maybe go check out the city. This will be fun because it's my first one where we've had a day in between the games because we have the Friday Chicago game and then not till Sunday that we have Toronto. And I know Saturday is going to be a lot of fun because there's a lot of World Cup games as well as the Boston Minnesota game, which obviously
huge ramifications. The
Yeah.
biggest ramifications for the Empire, almost as much as your own 2 games this weekend. Because if Minnesota undefeated beats Boston, right, it means that the Empire can still get that 1 seed. I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to preface this that I have a pretty funny story after this. What teammate do you want to get to know on this road trip? Like, what teammate do you not know that well that you're going to maybe get to know a little bit this weekend?
I get around. Pretty
Yeah,
good.
you're a friendly guy.
I feel like
agree.
I've made pretty good connections with people, but there's always layers. I mean, it's not like I know like people's grandmother's names.
Sure.
We're not like there's some room to grow. Who is someone I would want to get to know better?
I can give you a second to think about it because again, I bring that up. It was a question that I and our awesome cameraman for the Empire, Ben Phillips, brought up to at Media Day years ago, and it was one of my favorite Media Day answers ever. We asked Mr. Jack Williams, number 11 on the Empire. We asked him what teammates he wanted to get to know better this season, and he said Mike and Ryan Frost. And the question was really about like new teammates, but Jack said 2 players that he had known and played with for 3 years. And I said, Jack, how do you not know much about Mike and Ryan? And to Jack's credit, it was a lot more telling about Mike and Ryan because as Pippen has kind of alluded to, the twins are the consummate example of twins. Like they are when they did road trips, it was they might be involved for some game nights or whatever, but like the twins would go and play Smash Brothers in the room together, or you know what I mean, or something like that. They bring in 1 or 2 others and whatever it was. So Jack, it may sound like Jack was trying to be funny, but in truth, like Jack was just trying to get to know some other vets on the team. And I think that's always like an interesting dynamic that I'm like, well, you guys have known each other for all these years, but again, when you build a professional franchise, everybody needs to work as teammates, but like not everyone has to be best friend, and that's how it is in sports. Like not every guy's best friends with each other. It's just the nature of the dynamic. And it was one of the best answers and funniest answers I ever heard where I was like, I just expected him to say a kid he just met that day. And instead he was like, no, I don't need to know the new kids. Like I'll get to know them. But I was like, he's like, I want to dig in and really get to know these dudes who've been around New York for 10 years at the time.
Yeah, I guess I'll give you then the newer kids from UMass. I'll go with Ethan and Nima.
Because they did just show up.
Sure. They've been around a little less. So there's my answer.
Again, I just want to paint the playoff picture real quick here. The Empire can clinch a playoff berth on Friday, if I'm that's right, with a win against Chicago, as the Breeze in third have already clinched a spot with a 7-3 record. And then obviously with Toronto, you can double that clinching because it be directly against Toronto is 5-5. That loss that Toronto picked up against Oregon, that one is killer for Toronto. That was the one that kind of put the nail in the coffin for them.
And then they just lost to Montreal.
That also doesn't help. But I'm saying the Oregon
one. The
Oregon one is the one that really hurts. But as I said, Jack, by the way, back in the Active 20 for the weekend road trip. The rest of that playoff picture, as we already said, Gloria are 9-1, face the undefeated Minnesota Wind Chill on Saturday before finishing up with Montreal next weekend, which also, Montreal, not easy, as we know, on the road. I mean, they're probably going to get it done.
Wait, who plays Montreal?
Boston.
Oh, I mean, no, you never know, man.
Saying,
I mean, you're the odds. Sure, the odds are in Boston, but anything can happen in that dang Montreal stadium.
And they also might rest some players.
I mean, what an exciting game too! Like, there's no way they can rest players. There's no way they would rest players, though. I mean, that would be.
They've had a lot of injuries this year. That's the only idea. But
I know, but you're not resting anyone significant with the 1 seed on the line. I assume, but
I would assume that too. But yeah, for the Empire, then again, nothing to take for granted. But it's the Union, Rush, and Philly, so no team under 500. So this is a take care of business. Root for Minnesota like heck on Saturday, and the Empire would have that 1 seed and have to watch Boston and DC battle it out.
And that's just such an interesting game, man, because Minnesota's like the benchmark team. Like they were the ones that they played Oakland, and I was like, Oakland's the best. And like, okay, I still think they're very good. I still think they're very good, but and then Minnesota beat them, and now it's like, all right, everyone's like, the East. Like, let's see what happens. Like, this is going to be very, very interesting. I'm excited.
So I think part of that is, and this is like just how bias works. I think when we watch these guys in college, a lot of them, when they make the jump to the UFA, if they do play for the high level programs, the high level D1 programs, I should say, I think we do kind of we do put their names a little higher. We do kind of put more weight behind it,
100%,
right? Like Zeke Thorson shows up to Carolina with Tobias Brooks, and we're like, yeah, obviously that's like game changers. But then we talk about like a Will Brandt who went D3, and we talk about Gordon Larson. I'm like, those dudes are potentially all first UFA this season with just how well that they have led that team. And it's just like, but we don't, you know what I mean? Like Gordon Larson just isn't, what is he, a top, I think when they did the top 50 players, he definitely wasn't on there when they made their ranking at the beginning of the year. Gordon Larson was.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying? Like again, like he's playing like a top 15 player this season, top 20 player, at least based on role and his 100%. Impact.
It's another beast. And I think a lot of the credit also has to go to Minnesota as an organization, because I think like we were talking about, it's like a team. When you want to start winning at the highest level in any, arena, and it's a team endeavor, like you have to be a good team, and they're just they're a good organization, and then also a good team. So I think they just figured a lot of stuff out. And it's cool. And I like that they raised the bar in all those ways. I'm excited. I have not been like, there's not many games that I'm like, I gotta tune in like from the start. Like I want to be like this one, like obviously it impacts us, but also it's like, it's just a good game. Like you're very curious as to what is going to happen.
Yeah. No disrespect to the South Division, but like having seen the first Atlanta Carolina game, I was like, okay, I got what I kind of needed about these two teams. And I knew they were going to play 4 times. So it's like, what it is. But yeah, Oakland against Minnesota. And it has to do with the interdivisional stuff too. Oakland, Minnesota, huge.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, obviously that was the one, and then this is probably 2 outside of the East Division stuff. Yeah, 100%. For sure. I mean, I say that too about like the top college, but again, like Nate DeMorgan's also playing for Minnesota, and since he got back, like he's been awesome. He's awesome too. So the last thing I just want to touch on real quick, we're going to tiptoe around this last topic as we usually do, but club season, again, it is that thing that's going on in the background. Club season is back in full swing. I think all UFA fans like understand that. What I'll ask is, how do you and most players manage the physical toll of all that high-level ultimate for the potential next 2 months with championship weekend then on the horizon? Because it does feel like club really does. And for a lot of players in certain communities, like that becomes the biggest priority, biggest thing is. But then you have other communities, and I say New York is one of them. Boston is even one of them, like that are like, okay, club will be our main focus as a larger ultimate community after the UFA season is wrapped up. And it is interesting that like some club teams and some communities kind of dive all in and some kind of wait. So how are you managing the physical toll of having, you know what I mean? Like when the Empire were off, there's some important games being played. Your body's going through it, right? And also managing a club weekend is a lot different than managing a UFA game. Like it's almost an entirely different approach too.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, I'm lucky with, I mean, like one of the main reasons, like I played Pac-Man, Philadelphia Pac-Man last year for club because I'm from there and I just moved back. But one of the reasons I stayed with them instead of maybe playing for like a team, like Pony or something out of New York was because like this new balance between UFA and club is just very real, like you're talking about. And Pac-Man, I think, is kind of going for like a kind of a new age approach where like we haven't had we've had like tryouts because you have to make your team, so you have to do something. So we had a tryout, which was one open, and then the second day turned into a closed tryout, which also was like our practice. But then we didn't practice. They've had like weekly stuff on Wednesdays for people in Philly, but I haven't been attending those. Besides the one that we had off last week, and I was down in Philly because I was getting ready to go to that tournament. But so Pac-Man, it keeps it super light. Like we went to the tournament, but we're not practicing yet. So like for me, it's really like we had off in the UFA. So I had like a week where I focused on club. We had the tournament and one practice. But then I'm like full back into the Empire. So like, it's really not much of a thing. I mean, I think like the biggest thing will be like when Club Worlds comes up, obviously like that's going to be a big event with a lot of travel and playing. But so like for me, it's not too much of a problem because Pac-Man just does a good job of letting people prioritize or understanding that people are playing pro and actually thinking that not only is it like, I think it's detrimental to both teams if you start to try to do too much in club because like it's just too much wear and tear on the body. So it's like, even if we want to be good, people are still playing Frisbee. So just let them play Frisbee and whatever they're playing Frisbee with now. And then when that's over, we'll start practicing more. Like we'll fit it in and make sense. And then I think it just depends what team you're on. Because I mean, like, yeah, I know other teams, they practice a lot. And I think for those people and the people that are on those teams, I don't know, they just got to fucking sleep a lot, I guess, and figure it out.
Well, I know. I mean, I totally agree with you. I think things have changed since the league began all those years ago because to what kind of we've also been talking about, younger players, high school players, college players, they're just more developed. They're just better. You can throw, again, Sam Grossberg is what? Kid's a sophomore
He is
in
like
college.
21.
Right. I know he doesn't play Philly anymore. I mean, I know he doesn't play for the Phoenix this year, but even last season, you don't have to worry about that kid. Like, oh, we gotta fit him into our system, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you send this kid an email with all this information, and like, and I'll be honest too. Like, I've mentioned it on the show before. Like, I captain a club team, and we're a little older. It's not Masters age. Well, most of us are.
Yeah, I'm sure some of you are. Yeah,
Most of us are. But the point is having a Masters eligible. Most of your team having been Masters eligible, meaning I've been around the block. So like a lot of us have been playing together for a while, and so it's like I'll send an email to our new players because now we've got some we have some college kids, we got some Yale, whatever, UConn. So it's like I send an email like, hey, here's the 2-3-2 that we work through. Here's some instructional videos that now exist. Like, figure this out. And here's where I want you, right? I circle it. I'm like, this is where your position is in our 2-2-3 zone or 2-3-2 zone. There you go. So figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you incorporate. So because we do the same thing. Like, we practice less because it's like, especially with older players, like, we're not killing the body, whatever it is. Like, you got kids, do what you got to do on the weekend. And then I'll see you for this tournament. I'll see you for that tournament. And then we practice, you know what I mean? Then it's like, okay, we got nothing for 3 weeks. 100%. So we'll do a practice weekend or whatever. So I think that's how I think a lot of the pro teams, again, the pro teams are practice on Wednesdays usually, and then games every weekend. And then again, the teams also that have now fallen out of the picture, their attendance gets spotty. But I'll come back to the UFA to end this, that the last 2 or 3 weeks of results I find, because the week, next weekend is the last one of the season, there's always some funky stuff there because you have some teams who either again, unlike the Glory, as you said, we'll see what they do, but some other teams that are divisions like Minnesota, are you really going to are you pushing all your players out there for the final weekend? You know what I mean? Like, are you looking to get that 12th win, go undefeated?
Right. Because
Boston, right? Like,
that's a good point because they're locked up. They're already locked up.
Are you prioritizing that? Are you giving your players a little bit of a week off? And on the inverse of that, if you're a team that is already like, you know what I mean? Like, you're done and dusted. Does it matter to you or you tell your players like, yeah, I mean, go play your big tournament. You know what I mean? Like, go play your big tournament or whatever. You know, we're going to let our young guys kind of finish out the season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, it's I agree with that. You do see some wonky stuff, and it's kind of one of the interesting things about the UFA, and it's like I was touching on earlier. It's like the week, like it is just so week to week, roster dependent, situation dependent on like what team is going to show up. Like you can't look at a result from week 4 and expect to get much out of that, or like you can't necessarily expect to get much out of that in like a week 12 matchup.
Yeah, thankfully Tim DeVal does not have to deal with what the NBA does with tanking. So there's no tanking. Someday we'll talk about what happened if the
Are we sure Vegas isn't tanking? Are we sure?
Unfortunately, no. And unfortunately for Vegas, we don't have a draft every year. That someday we'll get there. Someday, maybe at like 2045, we'll do drafts. And
I'm not sure they're not tanking.
We'll see how it works.
They might think they're still getting something. Maybe someone should tell them there's no draft.
All right. Well, I don't want Vegas to get to any more strays. I do want them to get a win, though, for program history. That would be really cool for them. But anyway, yeah, Alex, have a good weekend. Enjoy Chicago. Enjoy the city. Enjoy hanging out. Enjoy Toronto. And, yeah, we'll be watching Minnesota Glory. So we got a lot to talk about next Tuesday, and Pippen will be back. So, yeah, for Alex and myself, we'll see you next week. And then, of course, the home game on July 17th, the Friday. That is the final home game until the playoffs. Hopefully, we'll see if the Empire, the 1 seed, the 2 seed, hopefully not the 3 seed. Alex, you gotta get that work done. Yeah. Don't want to be the 3 seed. Don't want to go on the road. Want to host. So get your work done, and then we'll see everybody at the stadium at Memorial Field on the 17th. So again, for Alex and myself, and I guess Pippen too, we'll see you next time.